I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Kathy. I don't have a prayer. Larry, do you want to pray here so we can hear you?
I can talk loud enough.
Okay, you can.
Welcome, everyone. Let us pray that what we do today will benefit the rest of Dayton and Montgomery County and all the young people in schools around our area, that they do good work, stay in school, and please keep these gunshot people away from our schools.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So normally we go around and we see who's here. And we have Holly here today. Hi. And she's are you the chair of the Bob Shadows Golf Outing? Yes. Which we're participating in May. And I'm doing 9 holes only. I was worn out. But anyway, so we talk about that. But we have a special guest with us today. And Abe Bassett, PhD, is with us. Yes. So then I won't be out there.
The sound was good. It was already good. The sound was already good.
I know that I'm out there. I'm in the whole building.
Oh.
So. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. Abe Bassett is in academician. He's an author, he's a lecturer, and a travel guide. And so he was president emeritus of the Theater Arts Department at Wright State University for 18 years, from 1970 to 1988. And then Dean of the School of Fine and Performing Arts at Purdue, Fort Wayne, Indiana. At the end of his academic career, he established a tour company and led tours to England, France, Ireland, Spain, and the Middle East. He is here to speak to us about how a Lebanese immigrant family came to America and what it took for them to assimilate into a new culture and achieve in a foreign land. Dr. Bassett will share his Lebanese heritage. He and his wife live in Beaver Creek, and he was so kind as to bring us, say it, Tony.
Batlewa.
Batlewa. I'm so used to saying baklava, which is Greek, and batlewa is a pastry that is Lebanese. So I hope you enjoy that also. Bassett.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here than to talk to you about my Lebanese heritage, of which I'm very proud. And when I say that, I am the son of immigrants to America, but you all are immigrants to America. If you came in 1620 with the Pilgrims, that's only 16 generations ago. So, you know, but I love to talk to people and find out what their last name is and to see where they're from. I had a chat with Larry here, and we discovered some really amazing things. His parents came from Hungary, and his grandparent came to Toledo. His grandfather came to Toledo. My grandfather came to Toledo. His grandfather came in 1895, and that's the year that my grandfather came. And so, you know, it was interesting to find out that we have a lot in common. Okay. Names are really rather interesting, and they get changed a lot. Bassett is my last name. Now, what kind of a name is that? Anybody take a guess? What would you guess? Probably English. Probably English. There are a lot of Englishmen whose name is Bassett, but in France, it's Basset. In Italy, it's Bassetti. So names get changed a lot. In Arabic, in Lebanon, the name is Al Basit. Well, AL, and I have social contact with a lot of Al Basits in the Middle East, and they still do ALBASSITT as the normal way to do it. And they just find that in America, you can't have AL. It doesn't make any sense at all. My grandmother's name was Jamra, Abu Jamra. And I'm going to tell you her first name. It's Num Num. Now, I want you to say my grandmother's first name with me. Num Num. Num Num. Say Num Num. Doesn't that sound good? Now say Num Num Abu Jamra. Num Num Abu Jamra. Okay, so her last name was Abu Jamra, but when people come to America, they drop the Abu. And so I have cousins who are Jamras. They're Jamras, you know, and that's how it's pronounced here, Jamra, but it should be pronounced Jamra. My grandfather's last name was Saad, and that could be spelled S-A-'AD because it's two syllables, Saad. But that name becomes Sad in America, and part of the family changed their spelling to S-A-D-D, Sad. And properly it should be Saad. I have a sister who married a person whose last name was Bofaisal. And I didn't understand how that could be a Lebanese name until I discovered that it was Abu Faisal. Oh yeah, of course, Abu Faisal. But the Abu, which really literally means son of, it got dropped. And so you don't find many Abus. Jim Aberesk, who was U.S. Senator from South Dakota for one term, for 6 years. His father was Bashara Aberesk, and he changed his name, not his last name, but Bashara to Charles Thomas. So anyway, names get changed, but names are really very, very important. They're terrific. Well, I can't talk about my heritage without talking a lot about my mother and my father, who were critically important to me. And one of the Is this better? Can you hear me? One of the things that I did that I'm really most proud of is the publication of this book called Memories of Rhodesia. My mother's name is Rhodesia. First name is Rhodesia. For her 100th, to commemorate her 100th birthday, I wrote to everybody who was alive who knew her, friends, relatives, cousins, and I said, please write me an image of her, a memory of her, something about her. And I put it together. It's only about 115 pages long, but I have her stories in here. And twice when she was in her 80s, at 82 years of age and 87 years of age, I tape recorded her. And that became the basis of her story in here. When she died, we were in Columbus. She was living in Columbus. And we went to Trinity Episcopal Church and had a gathering, a family gathering there. We saw pictures of her, slide pictures of her, and we listened to her voice. So it was like being with her. And one of the smartest things in my life I ever did, I think, was record her twice and to get her voice. And I can listen to her voice now, and it's like she's come back to visit with me. And it's just really, really wonderful. By the way, after that ceremony in Columbus, we came to Dayton, to our house in Beaver Creek. My mother, my mother-in-law, and my family, my wife and my children. And we walked into the family room, and there was a sparrow flying in the family room. And immediately I said, that's Mama. And my mother-in-law was kind of startled, but I knew what I knew. So we opened the door and the bird flew away. And you know, we've lived in that house for 51 years and no other bird has ever been in that room. So just that time. So I thought that's not. And if I say this, then I got to tell you something else happened. I-675 was under construction. I lived about half a mile away. And by 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6:30, the workmen had done their work for the day. And I went down one day and I sat on a big piece of water pipe. And I had a visit from my father. Spirit came down. And I know this is phenomenal. I don't believe in that stuff, but I know that this was real. I just have felt his presence, just like that sparrow in our living room. He came down and spent a second with me and then went off. And you say, well, you just invented that. And I said, well, boy, if I invented that, I would invent that once a month because it was such a nice visit to be with him. Well, my mom has some wonderful stories and there's some wonderful memories of her. And I've got to share some of those with you. Anyway, I'm going to pass this around. My mom was a beautiful young lady. Can you hear me okay? Okay. First of all, let me tell you about her trip coming to America because she had two brothers and a sister who had already come to America. And she wrote to her brother. She got permission from her father to come to America, which she wanted to do in the worst sort of way. So she walked for 2 days from the village that they lived in Lebanon to Beirut. She was there for a couple or 3 days with a woman who was almost her mother, but not. A boat takes her to Marseille. A train takes her to Paris. In Paris, she goes to the zoo and she goes up the Eiffel Tower. And then that was a delay waiting for the boat to arrive at Marseille. She boards in Marseille, and this is 1911, and 6 days across the ocean, goes through Ellis Island. Somehow she gets on the train. Now, she doesn't speak a word of English. And when people in her situation come to America, they would put a note on her shirt. And it said, my brother, Sam Saad, Pikeville, Kentucky. And she learned how to say these words. And so this, a French family, she said, who could understand English, put her on a train. And she was on a train for 2 days. And she was nervous, of course, because she had no idea in the world where she was going or how she was going to get there. And so the conductor came and he said, okay, you're here, get off now. And she got off, and it wasn't in Pikeville, it was in Paintsville, and that was about 40 miles away. And so she looked around, and her brother was she couldn't communicate with him. Can you imagine being 20 years old? You can't understand a word of the language. You have no idea where Kentucky is and what Paintsville is, and your brother's not there. I mean, horror. Well, the next day, she was there overnight. And the next day, a young lady came up and read the sign and said, and what my mom thinks that the young lady said is, I know, I used to live there, I'll call him. And so she called him, and finally her brother came. And she saw him. She hadn't seen him for 10 years, and she knew him right away. And he said, come on, sister, let's go get something to eat. And so I think that's the most frightening thing you can imagine, coming to a country, not knowing where you are, who you were, and then having to deal. I'm going to pass this around. This is my mother. She's beautiful. She's just absolutely gorgeous. She's 5 feet 4 inches tall. I don't know how much she weighed, but she's thin, and she has some wonderful qualities about her. So some of the things that she wrote to me. What time is it? Let's see.
20 after.
Okay. She says, my father's name is Asef Saad. I remember when I was 3 years old, we sat by the fire. He was speaking with my mother, and he hit her on the face. I couldn't understand why. I was 3 years old. He hit her. She fell down. The men in the old country, if they get mad, they hit their wife. Isn't that something? I'm 3 years old, and have an image like that. And then there's another sad moment. Mama frequently told the story of how, as a young child of 3 or 4 in Kafir, when she was sick and not feeling well, she asked her mother once to wipe her nose. The request earned her a slap on the face. And it always seemed to me that my mama never really understood the reason for the rebuke from her mother, but blamed herself. The story was never told as a story with a moral, but as a sad moment in her life. Okay, she was 3 or 4 years old. 1 year later, her mother was dead. She had died of a brain tumor. She was 32 years old, had brought 5 children into the world. Num Num had red hair. These are little tidbits that I know about her. I wish I knew more about her. But Num Num Abu Jama with red hair, 5 children, and dead at 32. Isn't that sad? But these things happen. Now, one of my mom's favorite stories I got to share with you because you will enjoy this. It's Rahija's story of the camel.
Larry wants you to.
Move up.
Okay.
He can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
He would like-
Move up close.
Okay. A long, long time ago, when I was in my home in the old country in Lebanon, beautiful Lebanon, I wish I could see it now. 3 men from Palestine came. They had 3 camels with them. They came to our house. My father was always generous, and he invited them into the house to feed them. The front door to our house faced Jabal Sheikh. Jabal is mountain, and Sheikh is really the man in the mountain because it's on the slopes of Mount Hermon, which is 9,000 feet high. It was always had snow. It was always snow-capped. She said, in the morning, I usually took a short broom and swept the yard. And there were 3 camels there, and I chose to tease them. And so I said, whiz, whiz, einig, fil kadus, fil minshar. And she repeated that. And she said the camel's eyes got bigger and bigger and redder, and they started moving. And I moved back. And they moved and I moved back. And then they were coming at me pretty fast and I was running down. And she says, our front yard had steps in it. So I ran under the step and the camel came and ran over me. She says, boy, I was really lucky because if he stepped on me, I'd be mashed. So that's the story of my camel.
That's good.
All right. In 1970, after living 10 years west of the Mississippi, moved back to Dayton, got a job at Wright State. And over the years, I would have business in Columbus. And so I'd always go see my mom either before or after the meeting. And I would walk into the house, usually without knocking or ringing the doorbell. And almost always, Mama was either in the front room, watching television, writing in her diary, which she did all the time, or in the kitchen cooking. Hello, Mom, I would say. And she would never fail to be surprised, then amazed, and then delighted. She would say, you are like an angel who comes from my dreams. I was thinking of you, and here you are. And we would laugh together. Okay, my grandfather came to America in 95, went back in 99, took my mother out of school. I'll never forgive him for that. I thought that was the most horrible thing, to take a child out of school, because she only had a second or maybe third grade education. I'm not quite sure much. She learned to read and write. She could read and write Arabic, and she did that. And he was a butcher, and she had to go around and collect money from the people who had picked up meat earlier in the year, in the week. And so she learned how to journal. She was always writing in her journal, giving information about what had happened that day. And Mom taught herself. She had 5 girls and they all played musical instruments. I played trombone. And so she taught herself music. She had, here's one of the songs she used to sing. I'm going to sing it to you and see if you recognize it. Hakini a telephone, kill your mara, kill your mara, kill your mara. Did you hear a word in there that you know? Hakini a telephone. Yeah, speak to me on the telephone once every day, once every day. That song did not come from Beirut. It came from Tin Pan Alley. There was a business going on in Tin Pan Alley. Now,
It's 12:29.
okay, then I'm going to say, the day that she left, everybody came to say goodbye to her, you know, and her father said, Duk el kahwi. Kahwi is coffee and duk is not. So this is how you duk el kahwi. And my mom used to play this. This is my mom's. This belonged to my mom's. You can buy these, but they're made out of granite now. Okay. Now, if you were young and if you were Lebanese or you were Syrian or you were Greek, you would be on your feet doing the dubki. And it's sort of like the river dance, people. You hold your hands tight here. You don't move your shoulders. And you just, the steps are simple. Right, left, back and forth and so forth. Except for the people on the end who is leading this. And that person takes out their handkerchief like this and they go absolutely wild. You know, they're jumping up and down and it's a great dance. The dance that the Lebanese do and the Syrians as well is called the dubki, the dubki. And they're not the only people in the world who do a circular dance. The Greeks do. In fact, the Greeks used to do a circular dance 500 years BC. That the first theaters they had were always round because of the dancing that took place in the round. So anyway, the Greeks do the round dance, and if you had that, you would also need drums. And the drums are called, I looked it up on Amazon, and I can buy it, Becky. Sometimes they're just one drum like this, and sometimes they're two drums long like this. And the way that it's beat, you get a different sound to it. And so it's just wonderful the way that the beat comes. You can't help not wanting to dance, to jump up and down whenever this comes. So, you know, it's come. Now, I'm running out of time, and I'm sorry about that, because I wanted to just tell you one other thing. This is my memoir. This was the second book I did. One of my colleagues at Wright State was offering informally a class where people would come and write a story. And so I just started coming once every 2 weeks. I'd write a story. And then I did this for a year, for a couple of years, and I had a whole bunch of stories. And then I said, well, how can I arrange these? And so I'm glad I did this, because I look at this every now and then, because I wrote about my grandfather and my cousins and my family and so forth. So recording your history is just really, really important. And then the last thing, book I did this year, and I didn't get a chance to talk about this. I didn't write the book, I just edited. Believe me, it was a hard job editing this. El Kafir, The Cradle of Genius. And why does the author call this the cradle of genius? It's because, among other things, the people who came out of this village of about 3,000 people, sitting 3,000 feet up on the slopes of Mount Hermon in southern Lebanon, were the Prime Minister of Syria, another Syrian man who had many different offices in Syria, a third Syrian man, his family, who became like the equivalent of the Supreme Court judge, a US Senator, Jim Aberesk from South Dakota, a premier of Prince Edward Island, a second premier of Prince Edward Island. A lot of successful people came out of this small village. And I think if there was one reason why this village spawned so many wonderful people, it's because there was an emphasis on education. And then this is the last thing on this I'm going. I was 6 years old, and I came from first grade. I said, Mom, my mom and dad were like, listen, I can write. And I went down, I said, apple, A, P, P, L, E. And I looked around, and my dad had his arm around my mother, and they were smiling. Oh, that was an image I never forgot. It told me that education is important. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the next time you come, we have interesting. He has another meeting that he has to be at 1 o'clock. That's why he has to sit down. Thank you so much. You need help? Research and saw some interesting information about Lebanese people and their success, and how they're a group of a community that is highly educated and very successful, and especially in our community. So I was just, impressed. They had statistics about home ownership and everything, and most of them own homes. And have come to this country and have excelled. So it's always nice to learn about other cultures and enjoy their food. I'm a foodie, so I love everybody's food. So now we have Jarrod Williams, who is the Director of Leadership Giving for the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance. Williams has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Mass Communication from Wright State University and a master's degree in Business Leadership and Innovation from Northern Kentucky University. With his experience as a Director of Annual Giving Officer and a Development Officer, the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance and Dayton has an experienced and creative person who will share with us their incredible $5 ticket program and how we can utilize the arts in our club agendas. So let's welcome Jarrod.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I want to give a special thank you to Madam President for inviting me to be a part of such a distinguished group of individuals. It's always such a pleasure to be around people in this community that care about it, not only through their words, but through their actions. And I think that everyone is here today doing so by proving that. So I'm always so excited to do this because I'm transformed by the power of song, dance, and education. I think that's already been a theme already this morning, that we've kind of seen the empowerment and the importance of that. And the programs that we produce at the DPAA is a big part of that. Could I ask a question? How many people have actually attended a Dayton Philharmonic or a Dayton Opera or a Dayton Ballet performance before? Okay. That's pretty much normally the expectation and the sign that I normally get when I ask that question, because we know how important that the arts is so integrated and valued in this community. I mean, it's very hard and difficult to talk about Dayton without talking about the arts and the power of arts and the way that they really kind of transform lives. As we advance this year, this is our 10th anniversary. We've been together for 10 years as one unified organization. That is the Philharmonic, the Opera, and the Ballet. In the past, we were separate organizations, and 10 years ago, we decided to become one. So this is our 10th anniversary this year, and we have some wonderful, wonderful things planned. If you look at your table and look at some collateral in front of you, that is pretty much an agenda and our season that we have from our upcoming performances, along with some different unique opportunities to participate and be involved as a donor. This year, we launched something very, very, very special as a way to diversify our audiences, is our $5 ticket program. That is the ticket program that we offer, $5 tickets to pretty much anybody to really remove the barriers of cost that normally associate with performances in the past. Unfortunately, the arts have been known not necessarily to be the most welcoming of atmospheres. And, you know, as our world really changes, particularly people that's involved in it and what they look like, this is a huge effort for us to really making sure that the arts are for everyone. Because that's really what we believe here at the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance. You know, as time passes, we're going to have to really rebuild and change the way that we look at the way we involve people, right? And the way that we get them to be involved in the performing arts. And in order to do so, diversifying and making audiences look a lot differently is a big part of that. It's really been astonishing that we set a ticket goal of 300 sold $5 tickets, and we've sold a total of 3,800 of those tickets. So we had went 5-6 times over the budgeted amount of tickets sold. It's just always amazing to see, you know, at the end of a performance, to see the changes in the audiences. You have high school kids that's out on dates, you know, saying, well, I can afford a $5 ticket and I can kind of have a night on the town. You know, you see families, you know, 5 or 6 that, you know, normally live in impoverished areas and neighborhoods that would never have the opportunity to participate in attend any of our shows. So I think those are the type of initiatives that, you know, is really going to be transformational, not only for our organization, but for the community at large. Also, to our different educational programs that we have, we're launching a new program called Cue the Music West, which will be located at E.J. Brown on the west side of Dayton. So this is a program that will educate students 4 through 6, educating them on string performance. So they will play different instruments such as the violin, the cello, the harp, as a way to educate kids in a different type of way. You know, when we started this morning, we had a prayer for protection of our kids as far as guns, but we also need to pray for them for protection from themselves, you know, right? Because we're losing our youth to cell phones and, you know, other different technologies that's not necessarily promoting self-awareness in the best way. And we know that the arts is the best way to learn more about yourself. So, you know, we combat a lot of different societal issues, not only on the stage, but off the stage. So diversity is a true charge for us. It's something that's truly going to be integrated to the activities and the ways that we're going to do pretty much for our entire organization, really moving forward. Because again, you can't really say that you're a Daytonian if you're not intentional about providing the absolute best for everyone that's inside of this community. And the arts is such a big part of that. So please, if anyone has got any more additional questions for me, I'm not going to hold you too long. My spiel was made to be short. I will be around after the meeting if anyone wants to have any questions about our $5 ticket program, or if you want to participate in any type of way, we're definitely open to partnerships as well. If you're involved with another organization or club that you feel like that would pair well, attending a show or supporting our children as they are really embarking on this new journey of learning new musical instruments, please be sure to let me know. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with anybody. But, you know, this is definitely a battle that we're in together. And it's just been transformational for me to really be a part of this the past 6 to 8 months, to really see the unique things that's really kind of going on in our community. So please support your arts, anywhere from visual arts to performing arts. It is such of a diamond in this community. And I don't think any of us could imagine it, particularly in Dayton, without our arts. So, does anyone have any questions for me? Yes.
So what is the $5 ticket program? I mean, I've heard about it, but not details as far as, are they available all the time, just a week before showtime, that kind of thing?
Sure, you can purchase a $5 ticket anywhere. You primarily want to contact the box office over at Dayton Live. They pretty much run all of our ticketing operations for our organization. Now, we are not Dayton Live. That's always such a problem everyone has. Everyone confuses us with Dayton Live, but we are not that organization. They just sell the tickets. So if you just want to give the box office a call and let them know that you're interested in purchasing a $5 ticket, they'll let you know the availability of the ticket and the positioning of the tickets. Keep in mind that the tickets aren't subscriber level tickets, nor are they premium position tickets, but they provide access, right? Which was the primary charge of the tickets, is to allow people access into the arts that normally would not have.
Your educational stuff, is that throughout the entire year, or do you try and just do certain things at different times?
Yeah, our educational programming runs all year long, particularly it emulates and matches the timeline of the school year. So if school is in session, we're initiating educational program. Normally happens 3 to 4 times a week in various different schools, anywhere from our flagship program, which is Cue the Music, of course, working with grades 4 through 6, teaching them how to play an instrument. And we also do educational outreach as far as our opera. We have an opera in residence program where we actually get to spend 6 weeks with normally a high school student, and we actually teach them how to sing opera, which is difficult within itself. I could never do anything like that, but always good to see a high school young person kind of dive into that. And then our ballet school, where we have students in middle school that actually participate all year long, and they produce actually a whole ballet season. So they will go to practice every day and things like that, and work with artistic director and really assist in our season. So we have the Nutcracker coming up that will be next month, and we will have over 100 of our DB2 students actually participating in that. So those are the students that's involved with the ballet school and our educational program. So everything that we do here at the DPAA is that we integrate young people, because that's the true mission of our work, right? Is that as we try to create these new generations of art lovers, it's important that we start first with the kids, right? Because our youth are truly our future. And I think that everyone is very, very intentional about really trying to carve out and shape brighter days for them than we all have had. So
the Nutcracker is at the Schuster, correct?
yeah, so the Nutcracker is actually going to be at the Victoria Theater.
Oh, it's
Yeah, so it's going to be at the Victoria Theater this year. The Nutcracker is all the performances. Well, we have a total of 9, I believe. If you look at that turnout pamphlet that you have in front of you, you can kind of count how many. But normally it's our most well-attended show, and it's our most family-friendly. So the Nutcracker is a great opportunity to really get acquainted to a lot of our different art forms. Now, I will say that unfortunately, we do not offer the $5 tickets for the Nutcracker. That is kind of one of our higher selling performances, but $5 tickets are available for all other programs. Just not the Nutcracker. Just not the Nutcracker. We wish, but we have to stay in business some type of way. So we're not here to make money. We're here to serve people, but we can't go out of business trying to do that. So.
And where do you get your instruments from? Are they donated or?
So primarily, we get for our educational programming are donated, but we interest in purchasing new instruments, and those dollars go directly to buying new instruments for our children. We've had a lot of issues recently trying to keep up with the instruments. They need a lot of labor and a lot of maintenance. So it is kind of preferred to actually for us to kind of go out and buy new instruments. And then that is an opportunity too that's available for virtually anybody. I mean, you'd be surprised what a $25 donation really kind of does for us. It all really makes a difference. So.
Okay. So we can donate to you for instruments, period. Because Twin Tig we have an instrument program, but we give to the public schools. And we would have to, and then we would donate instruments, but we would refurbish them first, and then we would donate them. So, and I think that Metropolitan, is it the Metropolitan Opera, the Dayton Opera Hill?
Yes,
they donate instruments too.
They do. But they have a separate fund that they kind of just give us a large pot of money that they allow us to make decisions about, exactly what does that dollar fund, because greatest need funding is also important too. Because mission delivery is our primary focus, and going back, we don't have things we need in order to do our work day to day. It's almost impossible to have an organization. So that's another thing to always kind of think about when you think about supporting any nonprofit, particularly the arts. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes with, labor costs and, equipment and all the things that we have to be able to do really every day, not only just to put on performances, but to produce an entire season.
And you are 501c3.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I had a question. I was noticing the New Year's Eve voyage in Paris. Is there any way to get that in there? Outline of kind of what that's like. I know it starts at 7:30. Does it actually go into
it does. It's definitely one of our more popular performances in the past. The New Year's Eve show is very well known, and there's $5 tickets for that as well. So You can look a little bit more online if you kind of want to know more content-wise, but like I promise you, if you're thinking about coming, you will not be disappointed because it is a fantastic show. It's well attended every year. New Year's Eve performances, yeah.
So the Victoria Theater where the Dayton Performing Arts headquarters is, where's the Victoria Theater?
Yeah, so it's right on the corner of Main Street, and our office is actually right next door, right above the Uno's. Yeah. So we're not actually housed inside of Victoria Theater, but we're located right next door, right above the Uno sign. Those are offices, and that building actually houses 3 different arts organizations: us, the Muse Machine, and then the Loft Theater as well. So there's actually 3 arts organizations located in that building.
Is the Loft Theater part of your?
It's not. It's actually a whole other nonprofit organization, but it's located in that building on the 3rd floor. And that organization has more of a focus on youth theater. It's kind of more of its focus, just like Muse Machine. So similar arts organizations, but focus on different causes. But the facilities have pretty much everything that we need as far as organizations, because we're right next door to the Victoria Theater. We get to share the staff, so they get to be able to service a lot of the different components and needs that we have in order to produce the art. So,
so the Muse Machine uses the Victoria.
Correct.
I've seen the Muse Machine before at the Victoria, but and then the Loft Theater, they use it too, don't they?
Yeah, they do it. They use it to a little bit of a smaller capacity because they have their own theater that is more sizable for, I think, the things that they're looking to do. But they also do have some performances located right next door at Victoria Theater. So they can just go right down the hall and be right there.
And so the New Year's Eve show is at Victoria?
It's gonna be at the Schuster Center. It's gonna be at the Schuster Center, yeah. So we share all the facilities between the Victoria Theater and the Schuster. Virtually almost all performing arts organizations here in town have to share those spaces between Muse Machine, DCDC, ourselves. Those kind of locations are shared widely across the city. And but that's a unique model. I think that's what makes Dayton so special, is because we have to be so inclusive about our spaces and our audiences and our activities. It really forces art to be integrated. And I think it allows more people to be a part of it.
So one more question, sorry. What's the best way how do I get in touch with somebody to learn about the educational program? Because my kid's school is trying to do multicultural stuff.
Okay, I can connect you to a woman named Kara Camfield. She is our educational director, and she knows about every single educational program that we have, from top to bottom. So I'll give you my card after this, and you can follow with me, and I'll be sure to connect you to it. She would love to come out and meet and probably have a conversation, or just send you a very, very pretty one of our documents that really kind of have all the information about our educational program, because participation is so important in these. We're really fortunate that we have such a strong volunteer group. I mean, we've got over 300 volunteers, and they're a part of our educational programming as well, where they go out in schools, and these are retired musicians, retired educational teachers. I mean, people that, you wouldn't believe in. They just do a tremendous job, almost like it is a job for us around the clock, being in classrooms and teaching and arranging unique, different educational activities. It is phenomenal. We are so fortunate to have such a strong educational volunteer group.
That's good. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
I grew up in Dayton, and we are known for the arts.
Mhm.
One of my best friends was a ballerina. Well, and then 2 girls from Julianne went on to New York to be in the, New York something ballet, and they spent their life doing ballet until they retired. And we were always in dance, in music, playing music. The arts was just a part of our lives, wasn't it, Mom? And, that's something special about Dayton. It was always a very sophisticated city to me. And I've lived in LA and I've lived other places, but Dayton was always a sophisticated city because we had the arts and we were serious about it. And so that makes us special here. And so I'm glad to know that you all are there. And I wish you would have a little more publicity about what you're doing and how you're impacting our schools and the communities and how more people can participate. So you could have maybe 1,000 volunteers that are out there helping. But it's really great. So thank you so much. So does anybody have anything they want to announce? Any events coming up? Yes, ma'am. I know you all have a whole list. Come on.
Well, I'm gonna keep it very short. I'm gonna come up, because sometimes yelling is not the greatest thing, so.
Here you go, Margaret.
For those who know, I'm trying to save this for future generations. And so we're going to be decorating for Christmas starting tomorrow. It's going to take us 3 days. So if any of you would like to come back and take family portraits and pictures in a Victorian setting, we'd like to make sure that you always feel welcome. And to this endeavor, we're going to be doing something with the arts December the 3rd. So if I could have, and that's why I had to leave really quick. Mr. Harmon and us, we're getting together to do a musical thing called Jazz Up December. So Mr. Williams, here is your ticket to this event. And so I just wanted to say, if you need any help, just speak with Ebony, our executive director. Also, if you have any children or you would like to have the little ones experience a doll tea, Diane Phillips will be doing this on December the 11th. And we're going to also do a membership type tea event for the 13th. And for those that might be interested in a new organization that formed about 2 years ago, but there are other chapters called the American Women Business Association. Okay? And so their national president will be here on the evening of December 13th, after I flip the room for the membership tea on the 13th during the daytime. So other than that, we all wish you have a wonderful holiday season, be safe. And our tickets for our Rich Taste Catering, I just was told that they sold out. So I guess people are going out for Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to say, sorry, maybe next year.
Well, that's good. Anyone else? Altrusa, anyone? No? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
That's the sign-in sheet.